Welcome to Stonewatch. This is my open spoiler discussion for Marvel Studios' Hawkeye. And if you haven't already, please smash the subscribe button and click on that bell so you can notify for future videos. And be sure to give this video a thumbs up. And yes, after watching the season finale of Hawkeye over on Disney Plus, I gotta say, it was alright. I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, I liked it, but I was kind of like let down on that. But I'll get to more of that in a minute. I mean, we had a runtime of 62 minutes, which was pretty damn cool as far as I'm concerned, because once you minus out the credits and everything, you're left about 50 some odd minutes of story time, right? So that was pretty damn cool. So I'm like, okay, cool, because we had a lot to answer in this episode, right? We needed to find out, how was Kate's mom tied to Kingpin? You know, what's up with that? And then obviously it was teased at the last 2 or 3 seconds of last week's episode that Vincent D'Onofrio is back as Kingpin. So the question was for him, is he playing the Netflix version of Kingpin, or is he playing the MCU version of Kingpin, right? And are we going to get a reason why we want to see a Echo series that's coming out on Disney Plus, right? And does Clint make it back home in time for Christmas to be with his family? And what the hell's up with the watch, right? I mean, those were like the main questions going into this episode. Now, they kind of did answer all them questions, right? I mean, Kate's mom gets arrested. Vincent D'Onofrio is playing Kingpin, even though I don't think he was actually playing the exact Netflix version of Kingpin, even though I just saw him on an interview for Screen Rant, and he said he was playing that character. That was like the history he had in his mind as he was going into this show. Now, I guess like it's supposed to be like, after the blip, he lost a lot of power, so that's why he's stuck with the Tracksuit Mafia, which I have to admit, at first when this series started, I'm going, what is up with these goofballs? And they kind of grew on me, right? I mean, hey, bro, what's going on, bro? I mean, they're not my most favorite part of this show, but they were kind of funny, right? Just a little bit. And then like at that one point in this episode where the one guy that was asking Kate Bishop about the concert, the Imagine Dragons and stuff like that, and he came to find out he went to go see Maroon 5. It's a losing situation. Either one he ended up going seeing, but that's a topic for a whole nother video. But anyway, and I thought that was kind of weird that he brought that up in the middle of like a battle scene. So it is what it is as far as that goes. Now, overall, I think this series was okay. I still say that Falcon and Winter Soldier is my most favorite MCU show on Disney Plus as of right now. In fact, Falcon and Winter Soldier is number 1, followed by WandaVision, third being Loki, and the fourth one being Hawkeye. Now, as far as all the questions that we want to answer this week, 1, how was the mom tied to Kingpin? Well, apparently it was because the dad owed him a lot of money and she had to work it off. What exactly she did, I'm not really sure, but she did own a security company, so maybe it had a lot to do with that. And she killed that old guy at the beginning of this series because he probably found out something he wasn't supposed to, and she framed Jack to throw the cops off the scent for the shell company from Sloan, right? So, and he ended up getting out anyway. Now, that guy was kind of goofy through this whole entire series. I mean, at first I thought he was like, really? I mean, he didn't really seem like he was really portraying the swordsman character that I remember from the comics back in the day, but that doesn't really mean anything. So, I don't know. Towards the end, he kind of grew on me, and he seems like he was going to start hanging out with the LARPers, which I thought that was pretty funny that they pretty much became like part of the story through the rest of this show. And then they were funny as hell in this episode, I have to say, even though I do have some questions on some of the stuff that they did within this episode at the same time. But they were funny. I liked them a lot. Number 2, is Vincent D'Onofrio playing the Netflix version of Kingpin or the MCU version of Kingpin? Myself, personally, it kind of seemed like maybe a combination of both, right? I mean, because at the beginning of this episode, he seemed like he was being the Kingpin from Netflix, kind of felt like he was being the Kingpin from Netflix. I mean, he sounded ruthless and everything. He was sporting a cane, but I think that was more like part of the storyline from the comic books that this thing's kind of roughly based on. So, and that didn't bother me. I mean, it didn't really throw me off, and then, I don't know. At first, he felt like that character, but as this thing went along, it kind of changed a little bit. It kind of found out, like, he's got like almost superhuman strength now. Where the hell did that come from, right? I mean, he was kind of strong in that show, but he wasn't like superhuman strong where he could hit somebody and they would fly 20 feet across the room. So I thought that was kind of weird. And then, then he got hit by a car and went through a window in a store, and he survived that. He a little banged up, but he was all right. I mean, I don't know about that one. And then he got shot in the chest by an arrow. I mean, I didn't see he was wearing like a bulletproof vest or something like that to kind of keep that from happening. I mean, granted, you might be a big guy, but it is what it is. That was kind of weird. And then And then he got blown up. He was beating the hell out of Kate Bishop and everything. And then like she finally did that little trick with the cufflink and she hit one of the trick arrows and blew him up. But he didn't like blow up. And he just kind of like he was laying there unconscious, but he survived that. Little cut and bruised, but he was okay. And then Echo had him dead to rights with her gun. And granted, they cut away and we heard a gunshot go off, but we don't know whether or not if actually he got hit or whether or not he actually somehow deflected or something like that. But then again, after getting hit by a car, shot by an arrow, and blown up, maybe a gunshot wouldn't be all that bad, depending on where she hit him, right? I mean, I don't know. And I think he will be back in some shape or form. I didn't think that they would actually bring him back just to kill him off. Right? And if they do, I mean, that's kind of like a bummer. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. And then question number 3, do we really want to see a Echo series on Disney Plus? As of right now, I'm going to pass. I mean, I'll probably watch it anyway because it's at the MCU. But as of right now, I am not excited for an Echo series right now. I mean, her story pretty much played out exactly like it did in the comics. Only the exception of that it was Ronan that killed her dad and not Daredevil. At least I don't know if Daredevil did it or he was just blamed for it, but it was Daredevil that was like involved in her dad's death and not Ronan. They kind of changed that up a little bit. Other than that, it was pretty much the exact same storyline, or at least from what I've read and what videos I've watched that told me about that. So I don't know that for a fact, but from what I've seen, it seemed like the same thing. So what else is there? I mean, did her story continue on after that? I really don't know. So let me know what you think about that in the comments down below. Now, the answers for question 4 or 5 pretty much happened at the same time. Clint does make it home in time to spend Christmas with his family on Christmas Day, and apparently the watch is his wife. It kind of confirms that she was a former S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, aka maybe Mockingbird. I don't know. They didn't really say that, but they did kind of confirm that the watch was hers and she was a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent because that was what was on the back of the watch. So what was the big deal about that watch other than it? What you get that on our 10th anniversary or something like that? Because at the company I work for, on your 10th anniversary, you get a watch. Does that mean she was a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent for 10 years? But either way, I mean, really? The whole buildup on that watch, and maybe it was us, but I didn't see the big deal on that one. Now, the fight between Clinton and Elena pretty much went exactly the way I thought it would, to be quite honest with you. I thought there was going to be kind of like talking back and forth that, hey, I didn't kill your sister. She sacrificed herself. And no, I don't believe you. I mean, it kind of went back and forth like that. And then he did the whole whistling thing. And how'd you know that? I mean, I thought that was kind of weird. That's the one thing to get you to stop. I mean, I guess. Maybe, I mean, it was kind of like an emotional scene. And I heard somebody say that, she should have known what was the whole thing about Black Widow sacrificed, for the Soul Stone and whatever, she should have known. That's how that went down. But maybe not, because we were shown at the beginning of episode 5, she was one of the blipped. So maybe she wouldn't know, but you would think being a professional killer and you're tracking down somebody to kill them, that you'd be part of like your research. You would find that stuff out and she would have known already. And when she did confront him, it'd be more like, why didn't you do more? Not that you killed her or something. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I didn't hate that scene. I thought that scene was actually pretty good. Now, like I said, I thought that the LARPers were pretty funny in this episode. But, I mean, I thought it was kind of weird. Like, as they were trying to usher people outside of the building, they took time to go change into their outfits. They come back out thinking that was going to get people to listen to them even more. I thought that was kind of weird. And then when Clint saw them walking out in their uniforms, he was like, he chuckled. And at the same time, he was like, oh, we were so dead. But I don't understand, how was he stuck in a tree? I mean, the man was supposed to be like a professional killer, worked for S.H.I.E.L.D. and all that other stuff, and he gets stuck in a tree. I mean, was he tied to something? I saw him jump in there. I mean, I thought that was like, oh, man. And then it broke his fall, but he was stuck in the tree. I didn't really get that. That was like kind of weird. And the answer to that was like to kind of chop him down. And then how many people are part of the tracksuit mafia? I mean, there must have been like thousands of them dudes, right? And a lot of them were like getting shot with arrows, and I mean, I don't know. And that was like another thing, like that earlier on in this season where, Clint tells Kate that he doesn't have any more trick arrows. There are no more trick arrows. And then at the same time, hey, we need more trick arrows. So we're going to sit down, we're going to MacGyver this stuff, right? And I thought that was kind of cool. Kind of gave you like an 18-like type vibe while they were sitting there putting all these trick arrows together and stuff like that. And some of them really didn't make much sense when they went to go use them during the final battle. So maybe it's just me. But this show did end on a positive note. They won the day, and he ended up making it back home in time for Christmas. Took Kate with him, and they gave the dog a name. His name is Lucky, and I believe that's the same name that he had in the comic book run. I'm not positive on that one, but I think I remember someone saying that was his name in the comic book. It was Lucky and not Pizza Dog. So At least he's got a halfway decent normal name, kind of, right? And finally, we did get a post-credit scene this week, and I gotta say, I'm kind of bummed out about it, to be quite honest with you. I'm kind of bummed. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't have a problem with musicals, okay? I'm a musician. I love playing music. I love listening to music. And I didn't hate the song or anything. It's not what I was hoping to see for a post-credit scene, right? It doesn't feed into the next story. It doesn't answer any questions that we already had, you know what I'm saying, or anything like that. It seemed like it was kind of like, I don't know. But I did hear somebody earlier on saying today, if they would have like panned into the crowd and we'd have seen like an old man Steve watching that, then maybe that would have been kind of cool. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, because then it would have been like him watching his story fold out into the musical and stuff like that. You know, maybe something, maybe that would have made it a little bit better, but they didn't even do that. I mean, it was just the whole entire musical scene of that, from that, whatever. I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, I watched it because I go, maybe there's something at the very end. And maybe there's more to it. You know what I mean? Maybe there's more. Nope. So, I don't know, man. That bummed me out. So, I don't know, man. Did you watch the last episode of Hawkeye? Let me know in the comments down below. Where does this thing rank with you with all the rest of the other series that we've gotten so far? Let me know in the comments down below. I mean, I don't know, man. I'm kind of bummed. I wish I would have liked it more than I did. And it is what it is. So let me know what you think in the comments down below.